Anthony Brightly, welcome to Zoom Zoomin. It's a great honor to be able to speak with you again after a few years. And obviously, the thing that really interests me is I do find this a bit unbelievable because we're both getting old, but it's 50 years of Black Slate, man. I mean, incredible, incredible.
Yeah, yeah. To the date, 54 years.
54 years. I mean, it's
54 years.
it's a serious legacy, because I mean, uh, along with several other UK British reggae bands like Aswad, Misty, um, uh, obviously Still Pulse and Black Slate. For me, they were the big four.
That's right. Yeah, yeah,
And that
yeah.
whole
Black
that
reggae,
whole
reggae.
movement, from the 70s, 80s. I mean, would you have imagined back then that 54 years later, you'd be obviously you wouldn't have imagined someone would be talking to you from the other side of the world like this. But
No,
would you have imagined that 54
I
years on?
think I think my manage if, with my imagination, it was always to be doing. So to be speaking about reggae music today still, that is part of what I would have imagined. How it's done, that technology is way over my head. But I think for everything that's happened and has happened is being part of a natural progression that maybe hasn't moved as fast as I hoped it would have, but it's definitely has developed to where it is now. And and I'm actually proud to be one of the original players of reggae, British reggae music. I am a very proud person to sit in on one of those chairs.
Yeah, and it's a big, you know, it's a big throne. It's a big chair to sit on, really, um, because you did so much over those years, as a musician and as a band, obviously. Um, I mean, how would you sort of like synopsize that? How would you, if somebody didn't know anything about Black Slate, how would you sum that all up?
For someone who doesn't know who Black Slate is, who Anthony Brightly, Chris Hansen, Desmond Maloney, and I mentioned those three names because we are the three individuals that got together in 1972, and and we're still friends today. So I think love and friendship is the first and most important thing in what we have. We are great friends. We are friends as we are friends and we are brothers in Christ. So we're not blood brothers, but we are brothers. And I think, however, a perfect brotherly relationship should be, is what I have with Chris and Desmond. And with that, that love and respect that we've had for each other has made us do all of this work over the last 54 years. So, to someone who doesn't know who we are, Black Slate is a group of young men who got together in 72 who wanted to not change the world, but help to evolve the world into a better place through music, through song, through production, through just general generosity and being kind and good and being a good person. And that's been the undercurrent in all what we've done over the time. And we've made a lot of music that we've made become history, become landmarks. I want to say history. There are songs that can explain what was going on at a certain time in the UK. So if you look at Six Man, it talked about how the young kids were trying to find work and what they did as an alternative. If you look at Amigo, it was in the later 70s, because we recorded Amigo in 1978, even though it was a hit in 1980. But we was then trying to say, look, let's trust in one another and trust in the Almighty God because He won't let you down. And that's been the undercurrent of our music of love, being generally genuine love to one another, help one another. But by the way, these are the things that's been going on. So with our more recent songs like Realization, Time to Rise, in Time to Rise sings about our parents who started to come here in the early 50s and what has happened still to date. And when you look at what has happened, they've done more things to harm those people than to credit them for what they've done. So it's time to
Yeah.
step up and actually set the set the table straight. And then when
Hmm.
you look at Realization, that's a song that tells you about even though you got these kids out of Hackney, out of Brixton, out of all the different boroughs, London boroughs, um, your talent, if it's not actually put together with somebody who cares, you are gonna sit on the shelf all your life. Um, and then now what we're doing is re-recording and recording songs with messages like what you're gonna do, but also re-recording some of the classic lovers rock songs to make people understand that reggae music history, how it sounded then, still sounds good now. So part of the 50 plus collection, we've re-recorded songs like Sugar Minot's Lovers Rock, um, Instigators, Baby I'm Yours, um, even
How did,
though you're
how,
gone, Michael
how
Jackson
did
Stroke, Louisa Mark, Sixth
how did you
Street.
make
And we're doing
how did
all
you
of
make
this to just celebrate British reggae music.
how did you make the choices for such a collection? I mean, it must have been very difficult. I mean, all the songs you just mentioned, I was just, salivating, man. I mean, they're great tunes, all of them. But how do you go about doing something like that? It's an incredible task.
Well, don't forget, I'm a DJ.
Yeah, yeah.
So
All right, I
therefore,
get it now.
so as a DJ,
Yeah, I
which
get you now.
classics do I play that I can still play? Like Key to the
Mm.
World, it's a classic,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And the ones that are in the pipeline coming, they are, there are tracks that I can still play. Some people know, some people don't know. Like, for example, I'm going to do Riot Squad.
Mm.
Um, you know, there's some tracks that are out there that never really was a hit, underground hit, but was
Yeah.
never um, a, a public hit. But it's really now doing tracks and doing them for film. So every
Hmm.
track I've mentioned are in my movies. Because I might have
No.
said to you at the time when we had our interview in 2014 or 2015,
Yeah, yeah.
what I would like to do is start making films.
Yeah, I
And
remember. I remember.
and I'm into my film number 6 now.
Wow. That's an incredible achievement. I mean, how different is it making films from making music? I mean, obviously it's a lot more complicated.
It is a lot more complicated, but I've used the skill of making
Music.
music production in the same way I've made the film production. Totally unorthodox. We've had a lot of stick from people who've been trained in university, and I've been told that I don't know what I'm doing. And I say to them, those are the sweetest words that can come out of your mouth. And they looked at me to say, what do you mean? I said, because when I had my hit record Sticksman, they told me I never knew what I was doing. When I had the
Oh,
hit
you're the
record
same thing,
Rhythm,
yeah.
they
Yeah.
told me I never knew what I was doing. So, yeah, so
Yeah.
to be always told that I'm doing it wrong or not doing it right, and to be successful by not doing it right, I believe I'm going down the right road.
Yeah, I get you. I get you totally with that. I mean, um, going back to that 1972, how difficult was it for a group of young black men to make a band back then?
Extremely difficult. If my dad didn't help us, it would never have happened.
Mm.
If Chris's mum never helped him, if Desmond's dad never helped him. Desmond's dad, gave Desmond a hard time, but between the help of our parents, that's why we were able to be sustained. My dad took out a loan and paid for all of our equipment because
Right.
I asked him. And yeah, I asked him and he said, all right. I asked him to put us on shows and he said, all right. I asked him to do everything and he said, all right.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
without my dad, I don't, I look at many groups around and some start, someone, but, after 2, 3 years, 4 years on, a lot of the bands collapsed because you couldn't afford to pay for rehearsal anymore. You had to get a job. People started to have families. And also because I was so young, because don't forget, I was like 5, 6, 7 years younger than some of the guys in the band. So when them guys was 18, I was only 13.
Wow.
So my dad just kept an eye on me. But by
Yeah,
keeping an eye on me, he had to look after me for 13, 14, while I was 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. It wasn't until I was 17 where I got a little bit independent and I went to Jamaica. But that was in 77. And that's when we made the 78. So between 77 and 78, we made the Amiga album. And then that's when I got a job, saved up money, and went to Jamaica. And when I went to Jamaica, with the embarrassment I had in Jamaica, made us even more thoughtful. And that's why with my sound system, I said, right, I'm not playing normal music from Jamaica. I'm only going to play British music. And as a result, that's when you had the British Lovers Rock Crave, where
yeah, yeah.
that's all most people was playing was just British music and the British industry
Took off.
strive. Yeah,
Yeah. It's certainly a music I've always felt lovers rock is a music that never really got its dues. It never really got its respect. Those songs that you mentioned earlier, all great songs, all top the reggae chart. And as DJs, we play them now, and it always, if you're playing to that kind of crowd, they love them tunes. And
that's right.
even if they don't know them tunes, the younger people love them tunes because they're such good tunes. But
That's
why do you think lovers never really? It's like, it never really had its dues. It never really had its respect.
all right. So if we talk about Jamaican reggae music and British reggae music,
Mm.
up until 76, it was always records from Jamaica hitting the charts. Everything I Own, Police and Thief,
Yeah, yeah.
uh, Girly Girly, all of them tracks. Come 79, where we establish ourselves, the Jamaicans struggle because we were hitting the charts. Court Tom, Trevor Walters, Janet Kay, Black Slate, Matumbi,
Mm.
Aswad. Um, you even can say Earl Dunkley because he was playing
You-
British.
Yeah,
Sugar Minor, it was a
yeah,
British band. So we actually did take over the British music industry.
yeah.
But what it was, and like with most things, unfortunately, in the Black society, ownership is difficult. And
Mm.
with ownership, you normally can have progression. But if you don't own, you can't progress. You
See,
can't
yeah,
create the ladder to step up, to step up, and to step up. And after so much British success, the British music industry said, right, enough of you guys. We're going to change the scene. We are going to starve the market of British reggae music and start playing British soul music. And boom, British soul music came back again.
mm.
So it was actually a British thing. If you think of Phil Fearon, Light of the World, and then afterwards Soul to Soul
Oh,
came,
so yeah, loose ends and
you
all
know,
that. Yeah,
it's all British. But
yeah,
what they called it was British popular music. So they didn't give us a genre. They just call it popular music. And then from British soul, it went to house, to jungle,
Mm.
to
Yeah,
grime,
yeah,
to now Afrobeat. And so they keep on displacing the foundation of the music by not giving it its own category. And that's the reason why, even though Lovers Rock, had a peak in the late 70s, 80s, and then it came back again in the 90s.
yeah, yeah.
When it came back in the 90s, it maintained its own identity within the music industry, but really dancehall, Jamaican dance, Jamaica became more dominant when you said reggae music.
Mhm.
Like with the Shaka Demus and Pliers and things like that. All of that, Shaggy was maintained. Shaggy broke through the soul scene, and that's again the 90s. We're talking about when Choice FM, when we finally had a legal radio station. But the
Yeah, yeah,
legal
yeah.
radio station played more American soul than
And
British
British, yeah,
reggae and British soul.
yeah, yeah. And
So
well,
we've
it's
only got one and two, Omar broke through. The fact that I can name the few people that broke through shows how difficult it was for the 2 million, because you're talking about 0.1 of the artists surviving and succeeding.
mm,
That's a very low percentage.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it is almost like a story that ain't really been told properly, you know.
Well, that's why I'm making movies.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stories that ain't been told, and I guess that's a good foundation to continue on, you know. Um, but I mean I always felt about British reggae music that even with some of the even when you had like dancehall, sound systems emerging from the UK in a way conquering the Jamaican market like Saxon did, and they left a legacy really on
Yeah,
the flavor of the DJs because no one was doing the fast style chatting, and even today I hear Jamaican
right.
productions using that same pattern, and if only they knew where it came from, maybe they do know, I don't know, but I always felt with Lovers, it's such a it's a sort of you can't say because sometimes with dancehall, I'm not saying with all dancehall, but with a lot of dancehall, you play it at that time and then you can't play it 10, 20, 15 years later. You can, I mean, obviously with Chakademus implies that they're
Yeah,
monster hit.
and
You can play
songs
that
that hit top.
anytime, but
Yeah,
with Lovers, that ain't the case. You can't really sort of play, Baby I'm Yours. You can't tell me that someone's played that in a dance and it cleared the dance floor. It's eternal music, you know, and um,
and
and it will
that's a
keep
lovely
on,
way to put it.
and
That's
it
a
will
lovely
keep
way.
on, and it will keep
Yeah.
on being that way as long as we keep the memory alive, our generation.
Yeah. Well, that is the aim, and as you know now, Black Slate has, we're boasting that we have three generations in one band. So
Yeah,
we got Mensa, who's now our bass player, and he's only 27.
right.
What we had to do to get him to understand what playing a reggae bass line was about. I was doing a dance at Sir George Sound, and I said, "You need to come with your girlfriend. Don't come on your own. Come with your girlfriend and experience how our music was birthed." And he got there nice and early. He got there before everyone else, and he stayed there for 6 hours and watched everyone come in. And what I did that night, I said, one selector playing all night. So I played all night long.
Mm,
So there was nobody coming in to mix anything the wrong way. I just took you on a musical journey from the first record to the last record. And at the end of the night, he said, Anthony, did you see what was happening? And I said, what do you mean? He said, people were dancing together with each other. I
Yeah,
said,
yeah, yeah.
I said, yeah. I said, so didn't you come with your girlfriend? He said, yeah. I said, didn't you try it as well? He said, yeah. And he smiled because he experienced dancing with his partner
Uh-uh. Mm.
in an environment where everybody's doing it, where everyone's swaying to the same thing or trying to catch the same beat. And for record after record after, so you're technically hypnotized with a series of music. And when you come out of that, you're a changed person. And we were doing Key to the World at the time. And when we did the first version of the recording, I said, that bass line can't work. You're missing something. After he came to the dance, I said, now you can play the bass line because you understand how to dance to the bass line you're playing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And 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 our version of so he's got his own style of playing reggae music, which I actually like, which is similar to how I would play a bass line, but he's got his own edge on it. And I've not edited it. I've not changed it. I've not saying change it and make it more. So you'll find that the bass lines on this new 50 plus collection is actually really unique. And it is what I call today's reggae. Because when you
Yeah,
hear it, there's no date on it. You can't say this was made. It's just new music. It's new music to so many people who are hearing it.
mm.
And who has heard it is saying, wow, this sounds as fresh as the day I first heard it. And those are the kind of comments we're getting. Or this is a classic. I mean, we played This Is Lovers Rock by Sugar Minor. And the comments that people are saying, they're not taking anything away from the original and they're not taking any away from the new version because we've respected the original version, but we've given it the Black Slate touch to it.
And has this actually come out? Or it's coming
Yeah,
out?
these are all out on
These all right. But it'll be
they're
out as a complete
all the
release.
tracks I've mentioned, they're all on Spotify. They're all if you put in Black Slate 50 plus, you
All
see
right.
the whole list of it.
Okay, I'm gonna get the songs. And
Yeah.
but this will be a release of like a complete set, you mean, like an LP.
Yeah, it's a series of songs that we're going to be doing over the next 2, 3 years.
All
Um,
right.
and as the songs are made, films are made at the same time because they're all in the films.
All right. Well, I've got to make a suggestion for you then. If you haven't done it already. Playboy. It's one of my
It's,
favorite tunes, man.
anyway, it's on the list.
Yeah, yeah,
So
man.
can
Yeah.
you please do? Yeah, because it's one of those songs that when you hear it, somebody wants to say, "What is he saying? What
Yeah, I
is he
know.
talking about?"
And people don't, I mean, obviously our generation would remember it, but a lot of people today don't know this music. And I think that's the joy of doing it again.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. When Lulu did Twist and Shout,
Yeah.
everybody presumed that she did it first. They didn't know that it was written by the Isley Brothers.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
And it took me until it's when I saw the Isley Brothers in the 70s and I heard them perform it and I said, for all you don't know,
Yeah.
who made this in
Where it
50,
came
whatever
from.
it was.
Yeah.
And
But
I said, wow,
sometimes that works the other way though. Like what's that tune? The Man in Me, Matumbi's version.
man
The
in
ori-
me.
Man in Me is originally by Bob Dylan, and I'd never
Yeah.
heard it. I had only known Matumbi because
Well,
it's one of my favorites. And
and
then
it's funny you say
recently,
that.
I've got to find the original, and I don't know. I'm not, obviously Bob Dylan is Bob Dylan. You can't knock him. He's made some great music, and he's an icon. But I can't get can't I can't get the Matumbi version out of my system. I would never dream of playing the Bob Dylan version.
Well, look, the other day I saw something and it says 10 records that the original can't stand in front of. And
Mm.
number one was I'll Always Love You by Whitney Houston, but originally done by Dolly Parton.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
You know what I mean? You don't they're great songs. And sometimes the writers get the credit because you've written a great song. Everything I Own is a classic. You know what I mean? Red,
yeah,
Red
yeah,
Wine, another classic. You know what I
yeah,
mean? And there's so many because a lot of the songs that came out of Jamaica in the early days were all cover songs. Caught
yeah,
You in a
yeah.
Lie is a cover. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
just, how could I let you get away? Is a cover, and the
Yeah.
list goes on.
Well, Jamaicans are the masters of the version, you know. I think that's why.
Well, and the thing about it, that's what made the Jamaicans so special because they was not able to hear their own music on the radio. So they were hearing all of these songs and they
Yeah,
would say, I don't like it like this, so I'm going to
yeah,
play it
that
my
way.
way.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
And that is why some of these songs was made in Jamaica of other people's songs because they said, we don't like that. We have to hear that on the radio. So when we go out, we want to hear our own music. And they made their own
Mm.
versions of their own songs for their own parties.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
as a producer stroke DJ, that's why I made my own music. I made my own music. Every record I've made, whether it's a cover or an original, was so that I could play it in a dance. One of the biggest lessons I learned, and I learned this lesson from a man called Mike the Rain. And he was a music producer and a player of and a musician. And not a lot of people know, but when I made Sticksman, I made Sticksman purely as a for for the sound because of what was happening around me. And what happened was Mike the Rain played the bass line for Sticksman, and he played the guitar. Elroy played the drums, I played the keyboards, and I did a vocal and a modalical version. And then Elroy said, "Let me sing it because I can sing it better than you," and which he did. And it became a hit song, but it became a big song because the locals. It was about the local people, so
yeah,
people
yeah,
traveled to Sir George Sound just to hear this record called Sticksman because they said we've got our own record,
yeah. It's like your own
and
dub plate. Yeah,
that's right. But it was Sir George's own dub plate, and then every individual who was a Sticksman, it was his dub plate. So he would
yeah,
come out to hear people sing about him, and then his friends would hear. And then when it was able to be bought, everybody bought it because it was
yeah,
about us.
yeah. Well, it's a good way of marketing things. Very clever. You was viral before the viral word existed.
Yeah, right. But as everything, when you do things based on the love and for your reason behind doing it, you realize that there is no two ways to make a hit record. Um, you will never know. No one knows what a hit record is in advance. When you're in
Yeah,
that studio, it just feels good to you, like, and somebody else is going to make it a hit. You can't make it a hit. Someone else has to like it, and then somebody else has to like it, and somebody else has to like it. And then if enough people like it because they just don't even know why they like it,
yeah. It
then
grows
you
from
get a
there.
hit record.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
that's the business, and that's the business. That's how the business has been. I give thanks. Thanks a lot for your time today. Even though we're in completely different parts of the world and different time zones, we made it happen. I'm very happy,
No,
and it's been a
that's great.
blessing as always to link with you, my very good friend.
Well,
So
Mike, one thing I want to say is thank you. And I say thank you for more than one reason. For me to be talking to you at this point in life is because there are people like you and many people like you who like what we do, but more important, love what you do yourself.
Yeah.
And
Yes,
I
thanks.
say thank you to you and everybody who loves our music and plus who loves reggae music, because that's what we now call it a culture. We don't call it a fashion. We don't
Yeah.
call it popular music. It's actually a culture. So if you're involved in this music, you're part of an international culture that's now become, and I say it without any reservation, the biggest cultural music in the world. Blues was big, country and western is big. But when you talk about a music that's in every single small and big corner of the world, it's reggae music and it's a culture. And you can see it because it's got its colors, it's got its people have a look. When you've touched by reggae music, you have a peaceful look about you that when you talk about it, it just gives you joy. And Mike, you have that. You have that. I look at you and I know you're just in awe of your musical collection, in awe of everything of what you're doing, and that's what makes this thing so beautiful and great. I'm talking to you 15 years later. The last time I saw it, how many years it is, like I was
Yeah.
just talking to you yesterday.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We'll talk again, definitely. And I'd love
Nah,
to meet.
you're a culture.
Someday we'll meet because we've always done this online. Someday we'll meet in person.
Well, you know what? All we need is an invitation, and we'll come
Yeah.
down into the show.
Well, likewise, man.